Okay, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Apologies, the technology was letting us down there for a moment. We were just trying to get our microphone working here, and it's very nice to be with you all this evening here on our webinar looking at exploring the potential of short courses in junior cycle. My name is Enda Byrne. I'm one of the regional leaders with JCT. And I'll be taking you through the presentation here now that we finally got our technology to work with us. I'm joined here in the room by John Cullinan, one of the other JCT regional leaders, and John will be answering your questions as they might arise throughout the evening, which you can type into the question tab on your own screen, and we'll try and get an answer for your question as quick as we can. Obviously, there might be a lot of questions, so we'll get through them all, but it might take us a little bit of time. So again, this webinar is really about exploring what is a new curricular concept in Framework for Junior Cycle 2015, namely short courses, which some schools up and down the country have already made a move to adopt into their curriculum, whilst some other schools are maybe having a think and a consideration about how they might adopt short courses into their own work with their junior cycle students. So hopefully at the end of this session, you'll have a bit of a clear idea, and our thinking will have moved on around all things short courses. Okay, so at the end of this session, just like every lesson and every class, we'll start by maybe sharing our learning intentions with you. Hopefully, we'll start by exploring in detail what exactly is a short course, what is it all about, what might it entail, and what's in it for schools. I suppose recognizing the potential, and that is the key word. Is there potential and is there value in our school looking at maybe adopting a short course or some short courses, and would it be of real value in our curriculum for both our students and maybe for our teachers as well? We're going to have a look at some of the, I suppose, planning considerations and appreciate what your school needs to consider initially with the introduction of a short course also. Okay, so I suppose maybe to start off by looking at this concept of short courses, where did it come from and how did it come about, and maybe to look at the journey so far. So I suppose the whole idea and notion of a reformed junior cycle goes back quite a way now to, I suppose, 1999 and a large longitudinal study conducted by the ESRI, which looked at quite a large cohort of students as they moved through their education from the primary system right through the junior cycle years and indeed through their senior cycle years. The part of that study really that looked at the junior cycle years was called Moving Up. And there was a lot in that particular research at that time that would have acknowledged we have a lot going quite well in junior cycle education. That's why we're engaging in a reform and not a replacement. But there were certainly things that were acknowledged that could be done differently and could be done better. In 2011 then, really from that research and from other factors as well, the NCCA launched their Towards a Framework for Junior Cycle booklet in 2011, which really looked at what the revised junior cycle might look like. And that made mention to different ways of learning, different ways of engaging students, different ways of assessing them, beyond the subjects which are still there and still valid, but looking at maybe new and different ways of teaching, learning and assessment in junior cycle. I suppose in 2014 then was when the actual publication of some NCCA developed short courses came about. A number of them there, you can see the pictures from the covers of them, and those three particular ones of course would form our well-being area of learning if we chose to adopt those short courses. There are some other ones of course available. We're going to look throughout the evening at what are those NCCA developed short course options available for our schools and for our students as well. And I suppose then the document that underpins everything in junior cycle, the Framework for Junior Cycle 2015, really published a way forward, a framework, a scaffolding for what the junior cycle years in all our schools might look like, making specific reference to short courses, what role they could play for a school, and again, what options might be available. So we're going to explore a little bit more about that during our webinar this evening. Just, I suppose, a note of caution, if it's right to call it that, in short course provision. It's very new, and I suppose anytime we try and add something new into our curriculum, maybe the best way to go is to find our steps carefully with it. And this quotation is directly from the Framework for Junior Cycle 2015, and it says that where a school opts to offer short courses, they're advised to offer a small number in the initial years and introduce the courses gradually. That's to allow a school time to, I suppose, really look at their own curriculum, to allow teachers time to come up to speed with a new course that might be on offer, and for students as well, so to maybe start gradually and introduce them in small steps. So I suppose a bit of the background as to why short courses really were chosen as a way to go in junior cycle was really because it was what schools were asking for. Junior cycle came about through a wide consultation of schools. It came about, there were quite a number of network schools involved in the initial phase of junior cycle as well. And really schools were looking for new and different ways to engage with the curriculum, new and different ways to assess their young people's performance, and new and different ways of learning. What the short courses also allow, of course, is for something that schools were looking for, is to connect to their communities. You know, they can be something that really speaks to students in your own locality and their own interests. It also to consolidate and strengthen aspects of student learning. So really looking at building on our curriculum and what might already be working well in our school. As I've said, it's about new and different learning experiences, and we're going to look at what's so different about a short course in how it's structured and assessed and taught compared to a traditional subject. The short course, of course, also allows students to profile their achievements in different ways to subjects, because of course in short courses there's no written terminal exam, so it really allows them to profile different forms of achievement and to call on different skills and ways of achieving their own potential. And there, from that, towards the Framework for Junior Cycle NCCA document 2011. Just very much, I'd say, to be very clear, that in the framework it's stated that it's not intended that short courses would replace existing subjects. So I suppose just to do a small bit of myth busting, it's not that subject X would no longer be offered as subject X and could be turned into or downgraded to or cut in half to short course X. So whatever that subject might be, it's not that we take away subject X and offer a short course in it. And I suppose how many can we have then is another question that a lot of schools might have. And again, the framework is very clear on this, that a school may continue to offer up to 4 short courses in its junior cycle program, in addition to the area of learning entitled Wellbeing. Now, to offer up to that maximum of 4 as well as Wellbeing, there are a certain number of subjects that can be offered. So we're going to look in a little while, and we have a slide coming up on this, to look at options for timetabling, options for structuring the curriculum that could allow for different number of short courses to complement a number of subjects that a school might offer. So what are they, I suppose, then, before we go looking at the names of them and so on? They have a lot in common regardless of their title and content that might be different. But a short course is designed to be timetabled over 3 years of junior cycle for approximately 100 hours. Again, what I'm going to look at in a moment is kind of different timetabling options to show what might that look like over 3 years of a junior cycle. Again, within the short course specification, it'll show us from the NCCA short courses that it supports 3 or 4 of our statements of learning. Statements of learning, of course, there's 24 of them. It'd be impossible for any short course to really develop 24 statements of learning, but every short course will develop very strongly for a young person 3 to 4 statements of learning. In short courses, there is no summative written examination. All the assessment is ongoing through classroom-based assessment, which happens during learning in 2nd or 3rd year, and is the grade descriptor decided on by the teacher through a learning review meeting. It's for different learning experiences again, and the learning outcomes as outlined in the specifications give really good guidance for teachers around how to structure units of learning that are different to maybe what would have been in our subjects up to now. And also, like all components of a junior cycle program, they develop the 8 key skills of junior cycle for our young people as well. So what's available then? What type of short courses are available? There's, I suppose, short courses from numerous authors, or there are different ways to go about introducing short courses to our own curriculum. There are those ones that are developed by the NCCA, which are, I would always say, a good starting point for a school considering short courses, because what the NCCA have provided through their website is a short course specification, which shows what the course would entail over 3 years, and also related to that, a set of assessment guidelines, which gives schools and teachers good guidance around what assessment might look like in that short course, and also sets out a classroom-based assessment, which could be used as the summative moment where the school would stop and I suppose measure how learning has progressed in that particular short course. So if we decide to go with the NCCA developed ones, the curricular documents are there, the assessment guidelines, so they're, I suppose, ready to use off the shelf for schools and teachers that may wish. We also have an option to, as a school, design our own one or develop our own short course here in our school. That can be useful because we know our students best and we know what might interest them, and it allows us maybe to come up with something that would be of interest to our students locally. There is a huge job of work in developing our own short course, because we have to write all the learning outcomes, we have to come up with the classroom-based assessment and the related features of quality, we have to come up with the units of learning. So while it is very attractive and a nice way to go, be mindful that it's a huge job of work to be undertaken by a school. Also, to be mindful of forward planning in your school, that a school developed short course doesn't become, I suppose, the talent of one person, because what happens then when that one person goes on leave or moves school or might retire? How am I going to continue to offer that particular short course? It's easy to advertise maybe for a teacher of subject X, but harder to find a teacher of something we as a school have developed and this person from outside might know about. So again, think it through, plan it carefully before going down that road. It is really, really useful, but there is some considerations to be given there. Other organizations as well. There are short courses out there not developed by NCCA, but developed by outside organizations. For example, there are a number of short courses developed by the Post-Primary Languages Initiative in languages such as Lithuanian, which are available, that are developed not by NCCA, but by outside organizations, which we might consider adopting into our own school curriculum as well. And again, the NCCA ones, there's the website address, ncca.ie. The NCCA have developed a number of them at level 3. So again, level 3 is where on the National Framework of Qualifications our junior cycle award would align to for the majority, for 99% of our young people in our schools. Again, all of these short courses have a specification and a set of assessment guidelines readily available to consult. And the first one you'll see here on your screen is the short course in philosophy. I'm going to be outlining a little bit later supports that will be available to teachers around the area of philosophy in the year ahead. We have some work planned in that area. These 3 particular short courses come on into the wellbeing family, and they're optional. A school may wish to offer the short courses here to fulfill their wellbeing requirements, or they may wish just to continue with the traditional syllabi in any or all 3 of these in CSPE, PE and SPHE. And again, as regards these 3, JCT will be offering full day workshops for teachers of these subjects this year and again going forward into next year. There's also a short course available in digital media literacy. It looks at a lot of things in the IT space and staying safe online, and I suppose being ethical in our work in the online space, are very relevant for for young people nowadays, I suppose. Also in the well-being guidelines that were published by the NCCA, they have outlined how work in digital media literacy might align well to our 400-hour well-being program. So again, there's information in the well-being guidelines that could show us how that particular short course might fit into how we enhance and look after student well-being in our curriculum. Another two that are developed: artistic performance, Chinese language and culture, and also a short course in coding as well. And again, that colouring just coming in there now to kind of marry those three together to show how they fit into the well-being area of the curriculum. The NCCA have also developed some short courses for young people who might be following a level 2 learning program. So the level 2 learning programs are for a specific cohort of young people that might have a special educational need in the low, mild to high moderate category, and their needs are generally such that they can't access traditional subjects or level 3 for the most part. Well, of course, this wouldn't preclude them from doing so if they were able, but there are 3 developed for these specific cohort of students with a special educational need at level 2: a personal project caring for animals, exploring forensic science, and the third one there, enterprise and animation. Again, these subject specifications and related assessment guidelines are available on the NCCA's website, curriculumonline.ie. And for our young people who might follow a level 1 learning program, again, these are a cohort of young people with a special educational need in the severe to profound category. The vast majority of these young people would be in special schools around the country, and their learning needs are such that they would be unable to take the traditional junior cycle subjects for the most part. But there are developed some short courses really with learning outcomes that are accessible and beneficial for young people following the level 1 learning program: Around the World in 80 Days, Food, Glorious Food, and Looking Good, Being Great are the titles of those ones. And again, they're available on curriculumonline.ie. So I suppose getting back to the planning or the factors to consider, because we're here tonight to explore short courses, maybe see would they be something to consider for our school. I suppose, first of all, the students' needs and interests. Would it be something that young people here in our school would engage with? Would it be a form of learning or a topic that really would interest them and add to their learning? In rural parts of the country, for example, I've heard of schools exploring short courses around agriculture, or to enhance learning in the agricultural science area. In coastal areas of the country, I've heard of schools looking at short courses around marine biology, for example. So again, looking at our young people here, where we are in the country, and what their lives are like, and what would really be of interest and value to them. Consider the resources available as well. Do we need a specialist room for this? Do we need particular equipment? Do we have teachers on staff who have a knowledge of whatever our short course that we envisage might be? And again, that would be a small group of teachers maybe, because we have to be able to timetable it. We have to be able to forward plan for the teacher who might go on leave or leave our school. So really to look at the resources available also. Of course, just like our school self-evaluation process, what are the views of parents or guardians as well? Maybe to survey our parents or find some information about what they might like on offer to the young people in our schools. And where does it fit in with the design and content of our junior cycle program? So what subjects might we offer? What short courses? What other areas of learning as well? To think about integration into the school timetable, and I have some sample ideas around that coming up in a couple of slides' time. Again, teachers' availability, expertise, and qualifications. Okay, so the time requirements. So as previously mentioned, they're required for 100 hours of student engagement. And these are just some scenarios that would be acceptable. So again, we would have went to the Department of Education and their inspectors to get some clarification on the approximately 100 hours, to say what would be acceptable as a minimum, I suppose, and how far above that approximate can a school go. So the minimum hours that would be acceptable are 88 hours. We've had clarity on that from our colleagues in the Department of Education. I suppose the reason being because it fits quite nicely into 40-minute class periods. So scenario one here, this particular school has decided to run a short course, and they're offering one 40-minute class a week in first year, one 40-minute class a week in second year, and two 40-minute classes per week in third year. Of course, it doesn't have to be in third year. That school could have decided to have the two in second year and one in third year, or two in first year, one in second year, one in third year. Choice and flexibility here for a school. That adds to 88 hours, and that would be fine. So that might be how you could run your short course in SPHE over 3 years to satisfy the time requirements of the SPHE short course, for example. Scenario two, again, the 40-minute class. It's perfectly fine to run it over 2 years. I suppose this school is not running the short course in first year. They've decided they're going to have 2 classes a week in second year. Perhaps that's a double, or perhaps it's 2 singles. That's up to the school. And again, they're doing 2 classes a week in third year. Again, perhaps it's a double, perhaps it's 2 singles. The school has autonomy here to decide. The all assessment in a short course as regards the classroom-based assessments, or CBAs, can happen in second or third year at a time of the teacher's own choosing. So there's flexibility on timetabling these. The key thing is that classroom-based assessments can't happen in first year, and I would imagine that in this scenario, that's why the school decided if they were going to leave a year out, it would be first year, because no classroom-based assessments can happen during first year. So again, we can go above the 100. It's an approximation of 100 hours. It's perfectly okay to offer more time should we wish. So scenario 3 here, again, the school has 40-minute classes. This school decided they were going to go with 3 classes a week in second year and 2 classes a week in third year, adding up to a total of 110 hours. And that's fine. Again, we can go above that approximate 100 if we like. Scenario 4 of 40-minute classes, 2 classes a week in first year, 2 classes a week in second year, and 2 classes a week in third year, adding to 132 hours. I always think this scenario really would be how, if our school decided to offer the short course in PE, this would be a very logical approach, because we need to offer for PE 135 hours. So at 132 here through this approach, this would be most likely what the timetabling of the PE short course could look like, allowing a double a week in every year group, and that would satisfy our PE short course, for example. But absolutely fine to do that for any short course we so wish as a school. Of course, some of our schools around the country are running a 1-hour timetable or a 1-hour class. So if your school runs a 1-hour class, what might it look like? Well, if we were to give a 1-hour class every week for 3 years, we'd be at 99 hours, and that's fine as well. Scenario 6 here with the 60-minute class, this school decided 1 class a week in first year and 2 classes a week in second year, that they weren't going to offer it in third year, because third year is maybe a busy year with the exams on, and that's fine as well. They're still up close to that approximation of 100 hours. So I mentioned earlier that we could do up to 4 short courses outside the area of learning called wellbeing, but for that to happen, we wouldn't be able to offer the maximum number of subjects. So there are nuances to how many subjects and short courses can go on our timetable and can be reported on the junior cycle profile of achievement. There are a maximum of 10 subjects that a student can undertake, and a maximum of 4 short courses. But I suppose these two can't happen at the same time. They probably wouldn't fit on the timetable anyway. There wouldn't be enough hours in the day, and it would certainly be a lot for the young person to be undertaking, a lot of study at junior cycle level. The options are here in the kind of gold coloured box, that if a school is offering 10 subjects, they also must offer well-being. That must include, of course, CSPE, PE and SPHE. And it's fine for a school to offer those 3 short courses, or they can offer the 3 traditional syllabi that have been around for a number of years, or a mixture. That's completely up to your own school to decide how you wish to engage with that. But if we are studying our 10 subjects plus wellbeing, we can't have any non-wellbeing short courses or short courses that are not PE, CSP or SPHE. A way of fitting these short courses into the timetable is to drop below the 10 subjects. So some schools around the country are offering 9 subjects to young people. They are also studying their well-being of PE, CSP and SPHE. And then you have options here with how many short courses you'd like. It's perfectly fine to have 9 subjects plus well-being and not offer any other short courses. You could offer 1 additional short course, or you could offer 2 additional short courses. They're your options in that particular band. Other schools where the children might just sit 8 subjects for examination, they still have to do their well-being, their PE, CSPE and SPHE. And then you have options here. It's fine to do that and offer 0 short courses. That means more time can be given to the subjects. You could run 1 short course, you could run 2 short courses, you could run 3 short courses, or you could run up to the maximum of 4 short courses. So plenty of options there. But there are parameters around how many short courses can go with how many subjects. If you drop down a subject, you don't have to replace it with short courses. So again, if we look at the 9 subject one again, it's 9 subjects plus our well-being, plus 0 short courses, that's fine, or plus 1 short course, that's fine too, or plus 2 short courses, that's fine as well. So again, there's lots of choice there around that particular one. The short course specification are laid out in a similar fashion. They all have a number of strands within them, typically 3. The philosophy short course has 5. There are a number of topics then of study within the strands. Each of the topics has a number of learning outcomes, which are really what the young person would be studying and following throughout the course of the short course. Again, in the short course specification, the ones produced by NCCA will tell a teacher the 3 or 4 statements of learning that are most relevant to that particular short course. And again, we'll be given good guidance within the specification as to the particular key skills that are most relevant to study within the short course. And again, all of these specifications are available on curriculumonline.ie, which is at the bottom of the slide here. And again, just to show, we've a screen grab of the SPHE one there, but all the short course specifications are laid out the same. The specification broken down into a number of strands of learning, typically 3, broken down into a number of topics, and then broken down into the learning outcomes. The learning outcomes are what we'd be using to plan our units of learning in the particular short course. Okay, so what will assessment look like? If we do choose to go with a short course, what might assessment look like? I suppose all assessment is ongoing. There's no examination in a short course. It's varied and it supports learning. Really, it's laid out, the nuts and bolts of it and the bigger picture of it in the assessment guidelines, or guidelines for the classroom-based assessment, available on curriculumonline.ie for all of those NCCA short courses at level 1, 2 and 3 as previously outlined. On the junior cycle profile of achievement, where our school offers a short course, we can include 1 classroom-based assessment that we might have done in 2nd or 3rd year. So the grade descriptor, so the above expectations or the in line with expectations, that will appear on the junior cycle profile of achievement, should our school so wish. And subject learning and assessment review meetings will take place where a school is offering a short course to allow us to decide on the grade descriptor collaboratively with our colleagues for a particular short course. So again, student achievements within short courses will be reported on the junior cycle profile of achievement. And the framework for junior cycle 2015 states that most of the assessment activity during the teaching will be formative in nature. So again, formative assessment, it'll happen during the learning rather than the summative, which measures learning at the end of the process. Students may produce evidence of learning through the classroom-based assessment, which can be recorded on the JCPA. Students work in the CBA. If we decide to go with the short courses, we will be running with the CBA, which is assessed by the teacher to the national standards, which are our features of quality. Again, they're available in the assessment guidelines for a particular short course. and reported on to parents and guardians and students by the school. Okay, the modes of reporting then across the short course when the teaching and learning is happening. I suppose often we get asked by schools, if we run a short course, well, you know, how will we assess it and how will we report it? Well, reporting, I suppose, would be using all that variety of modes that would typically take place anyway in schools with our subjects, through our parent-teacher meetings, through that oral feedback from the teacher as they move around the classroom on a day-to-day basis, different forms of feedback, written feedback, for example, feedback that takes place across the year. And then when it comes to, I suppose, those times of maybe Christmas and summertime, the generating of the report card for home, we need to think about how are we going to report to include our short courses on our Christmas and summer reports, or whatever formal reports we send home. That needs a bit of consideration as well. How are we going to report on achievement in a short course alongside our subjects? So supports that are available then specific to short courses that are in the system, very much led by teacher demand. You know, some of the short courses that I listed earlier, at this stage there's very low demand. It might be 1 or 2 teachers or 1 or 2 schools, and for sure we'll support those teachers as best we can. But the big face-to-face workshop will, at the moment, is in those short courses where there's a huge demand among teachers nationally for them. At the moment we're offering full-day workshops in CSPE. Those workshops rolled out between September and November of this year, and there will be a new CSPE workshop which is in the design phase at the moment, and that will be offered to teachers from September to November of 2019. And the CSP, if you didn't get a chance to attend our CSP workshop this year and would like to know more about it, we've all those resources on our jct.ie website, all the PowerPoints and resources that were shared with CSPE teachers. During your cluster day that's coming up now, some of you may have attended your cluster day already, or it may be coming up over the coming months, there will be a full day workshop on PE. PE has been rolled out for a number of years now. And again, any resources shared in years gone by are on our JCT website. The new workshop for PE will be available in your cluster for you to attend if you wish. Again, if you won't get a chance in your cluster to attend it, we will run a second subject workshop from September to November 2019 when you can attend a rerun of it. Similarly for SPHE, there'll be this is the first year of SPHE rollout. You can attend it on your cluster day, or if you don't get a chance for whatever reason, you can attend it in the mop-up workshops from September to November 2019. We have a coding initiative running with approximately 50 schools nationally. Maybe you teach in one of those schools. Fully subscribed at the moment, but we will be rerunning a coding initiative nationally in the future, and we'll be inviting new schools to apply for that. And we'll have more information when that comes about. At any time, if you have a specific question around anything in junior cycle, not just limited to short courses, that's our contact there. It's info@jct.ie. And just to say, with our SPHE workshop, that's about to go up on our JCT website. It's not there yet, but will be literally within the coming days. So if you're looking for the SPHE workshop, it's in the process of being uploaded. But certainly CSPE and PE, they're very much on our website at the moment. Just to flag some dates, again, these are electives which will happen on a Saturday around the country in some different areas to complement those full day workshops, as mentioned, in particular short courses. There's, I suppose, a growing interest in the philosophy short course now nationally, and so JCT are undertaking to provide 3 elective Saturdays around the country for teachers and schools who may be interested to find out more about the short course in philosophy and maybe consider what it maybe building that into their curriculum. You can see the dates and venues on screen here. Details about registering for those 3 philosophy seminars will be provided in the coming weeks and months ahead of March and April, when they will roll out 3 Saturdays, 1 in Blackrock in Dublin, 1 in Cork and 1 in Galway. Also on the 9th of March, we will be putting together a short courses seminar in Athlone Springs Hotel in the centre of the country, really to look at different short courses and to kind of give an oversight of all the short courses previously mentioned this evening. So what we have, and when this is uploaded onto our website, we're not going to play this video now, but in this presentation, which will be uploaded to the website and the recording of the webinar, there is a video here of a Galway school reflecting on a short course in technology, engineering and maths in STEM, and how they incorporated it into their practice. It's a nice video for schools thinking about the considerations they might need to take if they wanted to design their own short course. And again, this particular video, it's available on our JCT website for anyone, that just to flag it here, that it's available for any school that would like to, I suppose, be a fly on the wall of a school talking through the process that they went through. The NCCA will support schools nationally that do wish to maybe follow the example of this school in Galway in developing their own short course. Again, there's guidelines on developing your own short course available on ncca.ie, and it's a good support from NCCA. We'd really encourage schools to avail of it, you know, if they were thinking of designing a short course. And NCCA will give the option to schools nationally where they will help them design one school developed short course. So it's a really good support if a school considered it was something they'd be interested in. On the NCCA website, there's the guidelines around what to be considered in designing a short course. There's also something called the scoping document for short courses, which gives us a good starting point for looking at, well, what might we like to include in a school developed short course. There's also a number of templates there to really get our planning in order and get us thinking about what that might look like. And as I've said, the NCCA will provide guidance and advice on the development of one short course per school. So step one would be on the NCCA website, download, print out, or type into the scoping document. So the scoping document, it's well laid out and it's a set of steps to follow, and that really gets our planning in order. And after that has been completed, we would send that to NCCA. The NCCA will spend some time to have a look at our scoping document and send us back some feedback on the scoping document. So I call that feedback 1. Once we have got our feedback on our scoping document, we then move on to the next step, where we would literally write draft 1 of our short course with the learning outcomes, the assessments and so on in it. Once we have written the first draft of our short course, that again can be resubmitted to NCCA, and they will come back to us with what I would call feedback 2. Once we get that feedback, we can, I suppose, redraft our short course, improve on it in light of the feedback, and make it more robust. And again, this second draft can be submitted to NCCA, where they will give us a final tranche of feedback, which I would call feedback 3. So again, a good support for schools. More information on the NCCA website. I might just flick back here, the previous slide, folks. NCCA.ie, that's the section there. You'll see it as outlined, develop your own short course, which really gives more guidance on that, but it's a really worthwhile quality assurance process. Schools would always say, is this compulsory? If we're writing our own short course, do I have to do this? Absolutely you don't, but we can be very safe if we were to ever to get an inspection or an evaluation, that we're on very safe ground because we've followed the procedures as outlined. So you don't have to do it, but you know, it's a great support in place. So why wouldn't you do it, I suppose, you know, and we know we're on safe ground with it for an inspection and so on. So I suppose there this evening we've looked through in that kind of starting to explore our own thinking around short courses in junior cycle, to explore, I suppose, a short course and what it is, to recognize the potential value of a short course for students and teachers, and to appreciate what your school needs to consider initially with the introduction of a short course, So thank you very much for that. I know a number of questions have been coming through there, and John has got back to people. Again, before we log off, if there are any more questions, we'd love to take them. I'd like to say thank you for giving up some of your evening here to attend our webinar, and we look forward to working with you all again in the very near future. Okay, thank you very much and good night.